I tried to film this the other night and I rambled on and on and on for about half an hour and my camera had died and I didn't know when it had died. So I'm attempting it again. I'm going to try not to ramble today because I don't know how long I've got. The puppy's asleep and the husband and the kids are in the garden. So I'm going to try not to ramble. This is my second trimester pregnancy update. According to them, I'm 29 weeks tomorrow. According to me, I was 27 weeks yesterday. So, either way, I've just finished the second trimester. And I'm into the third trimester. Not ready for that. I've been really breathless this pregnancy. You can probably tell. And I was in my second pregnancy, if I remember right, with Beanie. So, but it's not been unbearable or unmanageable or anything. I just get breathless sometimes. What was I going to say? Oh, and I'm not as... during the first trimester, I was like delirious. I was so exhausted. I'm not as bad now, but I'm still tired. This baby's wiping me out. I'm really tired. All the time. So tired. So we're really lucky that this puppy we've got is a really good sleeper, because I was worried that he'd keep me up all night and I'd be more exhausted, but luckily he's a really good sleeper so far, touch wood. Other than that, I've felt he moves a lot, but a friend of mine who's pregnant for the first time, she's doing that thing where she knows exactly how far she's gone every single day. She's looking at the baby's development every single day. She just sat waiting for the baby to come. And I remember that feeling. I remember with my first baby, just Pudge, she was nearly 11, sitting there waiting for the baby to come, constantly worrying, constantly monitoring movements, constantly looking at development and what to do and worrying. And this is my fifth baby, and I can go hours and hours and hours and forget I'm pregnant. And then he'll move like a really big movement, because he's been doing little movements for a while and I've just been too busy to notice or whatever. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And I don't... Lots of people don't seem to realise I'm pregnant. People who know my body really well and what I look like normally really well, like my mum and my husband, and think I look pregnant because they can see where it's curving a bit at the top. But I'm a big girl anyway, but nobody else seems to realise I'm pregnant, so I just look fat. Hopefully the last trimester I'll have a bit more of a bump, eh? But maybe because I am a big girl, people are less likely to say, oh, you're pregnant, in case I'm not. Because once you've done that to somebody, you never do it again, I tell you. I think on my last pregnancy update, for the first trimester one, I said that I had a couple of dodgy comments, but I'd had no real nasty comments about being pregnant, because I was expecting it with it being the fifth baby, because I'd had nasty comments with the third and the fourth. Well, I've had nasty comments now. I'm trying not to dwell on the nasty comments too much, because people have been lovely as well. Like Tony from the channel Big Family Home Ed sent me a box full of cloth nappies and clothes, and that was nice. And a woman who works at the co-op gave me lots and lots of baby clothes, and that was nice. And my family's thrilled. And my friend who's pregnant for the first time is happy that me and her are pregnant at the same time. But we've had the usual, you know, oh, ain't you got a telly, and oh, you like rabbits and stuff like that. But the really nasty ones we've had, the husband was at work and he stood outside and I'm having a break, and a man he barely knows, just knows to nod to at work, come up to him and said, she's dropping another sprog then. And my husband was like, what? And he says, oh, no wonder you never do overtime, popping out kids so you can claim benefits. And the husband says, I don't claim benefits, that's why I'm here, because he works like a dog. He works 12-hour night shifts, manual labour. He's like, that's why I'm here, because I don't claim benefits. Not that there's wrong claim benefits, but you know what I mean. And the man were like, of course you do, you get child tax credit, don't you? And the husband were like, no, they changed the law, you only get child tax credit for the first 2 kids. We'll get nothing for the last 2, we'll get nothing for this baby. I don't do overtime because I'm not stupid with the money. And this bloke was like, oh. But I said to my husband, that says more about him than it does about us. If he thinks the only reason to have children is because you're trying to get money out of the state. And then we've not fell out with them because of the husband's family, but we've had to take a step back from the husband's family because they make moronic jokes about he needs a vasectomy anyway. But it's got really out of hand with this pregnancy. I mean, like, they were constantly joking he needs a vasectomy, and constantly joking we've got too many kids, and constantly saying don't have any more, look after the ones you've got. And it's like, we do look after the ones we've got, thanks. But the thing that did it was, around Easter, my husband's favourite uncle died, and my husband doesn't cry. I've seen him cry twice in our entire 12-year marriage. He does not cry. And he went to the funeral. I couldn't go because there was nobody to look after the kids. But he went to the funeral and he burst into tears at the graveside. So that shows you how upset he was, because he doesn't cry. Pardon me. His family were making jokes about he needs a vasectomy at a funeral where he's clearly distressed at. And the last time they come round and there was, what's tint? I don't know, I didn't tell her to. So we've had to take a step back from him because it was upsetting and totally unnecessary. It's our daughter's birthday in a week's time. I don't know if they're coming or not. If they want to come, they can come, but I'm going to have to say something if they start going on. You know, my husband works really hard, we pay for our kids and look after them ourselves, so we're not asking them for any help whatsoever, so they can keep the comments to themselves, frankly. I want, if you didn't see in a previous vlog, but the previous vlog will tell you more, I went for my 20-week scan. We did the gender reveal, the baby's a boy. We had one of them glitter cans, it was blue, it was lovely. At the 20-week scan, the baby wouldn't let them see much. I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me, sorry. 20-week scan, the baby wouldn't let them see much. And they wanted me to go out for another scan. And I wouldn't go. And they were like, if I went back for another scan and the baby still didn't let them see, they were going to assume he got all these dead rare conditions. And I've decided, I spoke to the midwife and I've decided to take my chances. And the midwife said, well, I really want a home birth this time. I've always wanted a home birth. But with my first I didn't, because it was my first. My second, I had a really rough pregnancy with Bean. Really rough pregnancy. Towards the end. Didn't even really know I was pregnant until I was 20 weeks. And after 20 weeks I blew up like a balloon and I was depressed, and so I didn't really think. But the last 2 kids have wanted a home birth, and they've always gone, oh no, your BMI's too high, and cut me dead. But I've still had all natural births. And my last birth, I got to the hospital and the midwife says, oh, after all your natural births you don't need me. She didn't touch me. I was always out of the room and I was thinking, why couldn't I stay at home then? So I thought, I'm not being fobbed off this time. So when I went to the midwife, I said, I want a home birth. Oh, your BMI. And I said, look, I want a home birth. Then it turns out that the reason they put you off at home birth is because they haven't got a home birth service. The 2 midwives who do it are like an hour and a half away, and the chances of them getting to me before I give birth is very slim, if they'll come at all. Which made me mad, because myself and how many other women are they made to feel like you're not capable of a home birth because of this, that and the other, when in actual fact it's because they're lacking. But anyway, I'm still pushing forward for a home birth, and I tell you why. Because I says, also it's my 5th baby. I'm worried it's just going to shoot out in the living room. I said, so what happens if I end up having a home birth by accident or an unassisted birth by accident. And she said, you ring paramedics, they're not qualified to see if all the placenta's gone or not, so you'd have to go to hospital straight after. She said before COVID the midwife could come out and check you and you could stay at home, but she'll not do that now. But I was like, she'll come the next day though. She says COVID will get her the day I give birth, but COVID won't get her the day after. And she says, oh no, it's different because there'll be more people around when you give birth. I'm like, how will they? But anyway, so she said for a home birth, even though I probably won't get one, not an assisted one anyway, I need a home assessment at 34 weeks. And I wasn't going to bother because I'm not going to get my home birth anyway. But my friend who's a nurse said that if I have the assessment, even if I give birth unassisted on my own, pardon me, the midwife will be able to come out to my house to check about the placenta, and then I won't have to go to the hospital afterwards. So I asked the midwife about it the other day because I went for me anti-D jab because I'm rhesus negative, and she shed loads of blood out of me because I can't get to the hospital for that time in the morning to do my gestational diabetes test, so she did me a blood test at the clinic. But anyway, I said all this to her and she said, look, she says, when you come back at 31 weeks, I'll book you a double appointment and we'll discuss birth. And I still don't know what to do. I still don't know whether to have this home assessment or not, because I know that's going to stress me out, and chances are I might still get sent to hospital anyway. So I don't know what to do. My mum got me a book called, I might do a review on it. I think her name's Heather Baker who wrote it. Heather something, she's a midwife. Natural midwife. It's all about unassisted birth. And I read that. Giving birth to the baby doesn't frighten me. Giving birth to the placenta does. Because in this book it says that your placenta comes out 20 minutes to 2.5 hours after you've had the baby. And this shows you how over-medicated pregnancy is and how far removed from nature we are because of hospitals and stuff. I didn't know that. This is my 5th baby and I didn't know that. Because with one of my children, I was holding the baby. I don't think he was even wrapped up yet. And the midwife went on my stomach and it come out. And then the other 3, I've been holding the baby, literally just given birth, and they've given me a jab and yanked it out. And my mum said that that's wrong, because she said when she had me and my brother, all those years ago, because I'm 34, it were a good hour and a half. She was on a tea and toast and that before they did the placenta. So she says they're rushing it nowadays. That is conveyor belt to get you out, get the next one in. So, yeah, I'm quite worried about giving birth to the placenta. We'll see anyway, we'll see. I don't know. I've still got to talk to the midwife about it. The husband's against it. He's against a home birth. Even though with the last 2 babies I could have quite cheerfully stayed at home, and we stayed at home right to the last minute. And it was all going well right to the last minute. And as soon as we got to the hospital, they shot out. He's against it because he's got 3 older children. Well, they're adults now, but when his ex had the 2nd child, everything went fine. They thought she was fine. She stood up and then she nearly hemorrhaged to death. That's why he's, you know. But with the greatest respect, he's entitled to opinion because it's his baby. But with the greatest respect, he's not the one that has to lie there in pain for hours and hours and hours, and he's not the one that knows how I feel about it all. I know what I mean. What else can I tell you? What else can I tell you? We've got the name, but we've had the name since day 1. I just didn't want to tell you. But I might tell you now. I think I will tell you now. And the name subject's change. I've changed my mind. I told my grandma the name, and she put back on a letter, oh lovely, we can call him JJ, and that put me off because my husband's brother is known as JJ and he's been quite nasty about his pregnancy, and yeah, I'm just funny about him being called the same. Yeah, I say with someone we already know and stuff like that. But so I says to the husband, we're gonna have to change the name. But there's no other name. There's no other name that I want that suits this baby. I really, for my 4th son, I really wanted Isaiah Jem. And I was going to name, my last baby was a daughter, if you don't know. And I was right. We sat there in the waiting room for the 20-week scan. And I says to the husband, I think it'll be another boy? And he went, yeah. And I says, Isaiah Jem? And he went, yeah. Went in, it was a girl. And this time, I still love Isaiah Jem, but Isaiah Jem's just not right. It's not the baby's name. So I was thinking, but I really love Jem, because there's Jem out of the Hetty Feather books, isn't there? And there's Jem Marilyn out of Jamaica Inn, and I just love Jem. But the husband didn't want Jem as a first name because he said it's a girl's name. I was like, no, it's not. And he was, yeah, it is. And I says, no, it's not. It's short for Jeremiah, isn't it? And then we were like, oh, Jeremiah. And them off route, the YouTube channel Roots and Refuge, his name's Jeremiah, isn't it? She calls him Sweet Maya. She'll make Sweet Maya. So we've got Jeremiah. Right, we've got Jeremiah, possibly Jem for short. And then the husband wanted Fox as a middle name because he likes the X-Files. You know, Fox Mulder off the X-Files. So it was going to be Jeremiah Fox, possibly Jem for short. Jeremiah Fox Jones. But then I decided to hyphen it, so it's Jeremiah Fox as one name, and then the middle name I want is Jonah. And my mum was like, that's a lot of J's. Jeremiah, Jonah, Jones, that's a lot of J's. I was like, didn't realise J's were rationed. And I know it's a stupid amount of J's, but I like it. So Jeremiah Fox, Jonah Jones. Like I say, subject to change. You might be born and I might think that looks like a Shirley. I don't know. Somebody, I know this isn't really 2nd trimester stuff. It's more 3rd trimester stuff. But somebody asked me if I'm going to film the birth. And probably not. And look, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I might do bits and bobs on the day, but it won't be a very long graphic birth vlog by any means. Because apart from the fact, we've done this before. When I had my 1st baby, he shot out. And it was an easy labour. It was the easiest labour I've ever had, even now, my 1st baby. And I was like, labour's so easy. I've got this. So when I got pregnant the 2nd time, we was asked to take part in a BBC 3 documentary series. Not telling you what it was called, it's on YouTube. The birth was a natural birth, but the birth was horrendous. He was £9.6. He was stuck for 25.5 hours before they'd help me and break my waters. I was in agony and I was screaming my head off. That's what they filmed. You don't know how it's going to go. So, and even though my 3rd and my 4th were relatively easy, you don't know how it's going to go. And I think one of the reasons we forget what labour's like when we get our baby is because we wouldn't do it again necessarily if we remembered what happened. Also, with my 2nd baby, because we was filming it for a TV show, my husband was like the other side of the room filming it to get me in shot. I need him with me. I need him rubbing my back and telling the midwife to back off and stuff like that. So I don't want him the other side of the room filming me. That's why I say I might film bits and bobs, not the entire thing. Plus, not just the fact it's quite graphic, but see, sometimes I think, oh, this might be my last baby, it'd be nice to capture it, because Andrea Mills, like, God love her, God bless her, before she died, her last baby was an unassisted free birth at home, and her husband delivered the baby, and it's a beautiful video, and I think, oh, it'd be nice to, have a memory like that. But on the other side of it, nobody else was there, but with the exception of my 2nd baby when it was broadcast all over the telly nationwide. the other 3 children, nobody else was there when our baby was born. And so I'm going to cry. Everything makes me cry because I'm pregnant. That's the other thing, I cry at everything. Nobody else was there, and that's a moment just for me and him to have in there, if you know what I mean. But even if I don't film the birth, even if I don't film any of the birth, or not a lot of the birth, there'll be lots and lots of baby spam, newborn baby spam, where I just film the baby and go, look at my cute baby, look at me, look at my baby. But I'm not planning on filming the birth. And also, you don't know how it's going to go, do you? You know, with the best will in the world, you don't know how it's going to go. But like I say, I'm not worried about giving birth. I'm slightly worried I'm going to have to do it on my own. If the husband works nights, if it happens in the middle of the night, which he normally does, and he's at work, and the baby shoots out, I'm delivering that baby on my own. My birthing partner is going to be the Jack Russell puppy we've got. But we'll see. Anyway, that's the second trimester update. I'll try and do a 3rd trimester one a couple of weeks before I'm due, because if I leave it too long, I might have the baby and then it's too late to do it. Oh, I tell you something else and all. I've been taking iron tablets, but I think I need stronger ones, because with my first baby, I was craving broccoli, and that's iron, isn't it? But at least it's an actual food. With my second baby, I was craving chalk, white chalk. I remember going to a play group and they had white chalk out the children were playing with, and I had to leave because I could smell it. With my 3rd baby, I was craving flour, and I was just eating it out of the bag like that. And I remember once we had friends round and I was like, mustn't eat the flour, mustn't eat the flour. I was like, stuff it, and in front of me I just got the flour. And after I'd had the baby, I tried to eat a bit of flour out of curiosity, and it was disgusting. So yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm over that craving. But the husband said after I had the baby, it was nice to be able to kiss me without a cloud of flour dust escaping my mouth. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, I started craving paper. And my driving instructor at the time was like, glossy or matte paper, and I was like, matte, I'm not a total lunatic. But I mentioned it on Facebook, and some woman said to me, someone I went to school with said to me, you've got a really bad iron deficiency if you're craving stuff like that. And I mentioned it to midwife, and previously I told her what I was craving, and she just gone, ha ha ha. And she went, oh, maybe we'll put you some dead strong iron tablets. And it was straight away, I didn't fancy anything funny. But I think so I've been taking iron tablets anyway, that my mum got me. But I think I'm going to need stronger ones off the midwife, because it's only been in the last week and a half or so. But in the last week and a half, I've been trying to fight it. But I've been like, oh, you know, could just do with a spoonful of flour. And then the other day I went into a shop and I was convinced if they've got chalk I'm buying it and eating it, but luckily they didn't. And then paper, so I've had all 3 cravings in the last week and a bit. So I definitely think it's a sign that my iron's going again. But when she did my blood test the other day, the midwife, she said she was going to check if I was anemic or not, and if I am, to bang me on stronger iron tablets. So before I get ridiculous and start eating stupid things. A friend of mine said there was a woman on telly that when she was pregnant she was eating sofa cushions. That can't be good for you. So what else can I tell you? COVID vaccine. At the beginning of my pregnancy they offered me the COVID vaccine. I rung them up and said, why have I been offered it? Because my husband's 10 years older than me and he hasn't been offered it yet. And they said, oh, because you, basically because I'm a fatty, we're trying to protect the fatties. And I said, well, I can't have it anyway, can I, because I'm pregnant? And they said, no, you can't. So that were it. The friend of mine who's pregnant for the first time has been double jabbed. She'd had both of her COVID vaccines. So I just asked, and the midwife said, oh, she must have arranged it herself, like independently at a clinic. She says, because And some doctors will, but your doctors, my doctors, aren't prepared to vaccinate a pregnant woman with the COVID vaccine. So I'm, just more, I'm more than happy with that decision. I don't want to risk it. I'm not judging anybody else who does, but I wouldn't accept it anyway. I'm just saying that my doctors have said no. Oh, which gives me a load of faith in my doctors, that they're not pushing it on me. So I don't know if you can see. If I go like that, you can kind of see. But normally you can't see. And people are like, oh, you're pregnant? I'm like, yeah, I'm nearly 7 months. And they're like, oh yeah, you just look fat. See you next time.